All right, let's talk about drug expenses. Let's talk about how we're going to save so much money. The United States spends $330 billion on medications every year. $330 billion. But let's break it down so everybody can understand it. So let's say this is $330 billion worth of money, right? And this is the medications we buy. Right now, the medications that people take on a regular basis, the generic drugs you walk into the pharmacy and buy, it makes up about 75%, in which we only spend 25% to buy those medications. So when Mr. Cuban and Mr. Bezos start talking about trying to save all this money, they're talking about the 75% of the medications we take, and this is how much money they're talking about trying to save from. In the meantime, over here, you've got brand name drugs. It makes up 75% of the cost and only 25% of the medications we take. Mr. Bezos and Mr. Cuban aren't going to touch any of that stuff. Not at all. So let's think really about it. What are they going to save us when we look at it, right? So you're talking about less than 25% of the total cost. So let's say they do a really great job and take off a little bit. We still have all of this part of the $300 billion and still this much. And then they come in saying they're going to save us all this money. But how can they? They're not even touching the majority of it. So what do I think? Well, here's what I think. Right now, the United States government, not individuals, but government, spend half the money to buy the drugs. If they were to take this much money and cut out the middleman, the middleman takes 38%. 38%. This goes to people who don't even produce drugs, sell drugs. This goes to all of your companies that just is the insurance company. You know the guys that say you can't have something? This is how much they get. So what if we took this much money and bought all of these drugs for all of the United States? Well, that would take the one Twinkie and we would buy all those. And look, now all of a sudden, we only have to come up with money for 25%, which is brand name drugs. If you make a national formulary, that's how much it would take. We would save this much money, have all the same medications, and not have to be required on anybody. So what am I trying to tell you? That the plan to save money on generic drugs will only save a little. This is your savings. If we move to a national formulary, which we're already paying as taxpayers, we can get all of those for everybody and still have more savings. It's the best way to go.